What's good, YouTube? It's RunixYGO here, season 52. It's coming to an end, and we are actually preparing for the next season, season 53. And because of the hits, we are no longer playing Yummy. We are actually jumping to a new deck, and we are still running with a new theme and something potentially even better than Yummy. It seems ever since Yummy came out, the standard of a deck has to have a floodgate, and we are going all out on a really powerful deck. Are you tired of seeing this screen? Well, look no further, because with all the floodgates going on, we're gonna double down and we're gonna end up playing something even more powerful with a bunch of floodgates, and that deck is Magnet Warriors. This is a new archetype, and honestly, it's a real gem. This deck, thankfully, is not the spotlight. It is not the best room in the deck. That goes to Kewl Tunes, but it is a formidable opponent, especially going first. This deck really shines and makes a unstoppable board practically. The reason I want to share this deck specifically is because of the uniqueness of how many floodgates this deck can play. It plays potentially 3, and within this thumbnail, we play Naturi Beast here. We're playing Naturia Beast being the spell floodgate. We're playing a field floodgate, which is the Conduction Warrior Plasma Magnum. Now, if you don't know, its effect is that if this card is on the field, it makes all face-up monsters become earth, and you'll see why that's problematic for some decks and very useful for this deck. And lastly, we're playing a infamous one doing war crimes here, Barrier Statue. We are playing this, and you could actually summon all 3 of this at once, making your opponent not be able to play the game. So this deck, unbelievably strong and pretty consistent going first. Before we start sharing the deck profile, I do want to share, this is a entry how to introduce the deck Magnet Warriors pure and how to play it. In terms of ratios, it could definitely change. This is a very unexplored deck. There are quite the variants of this deck and quite the ratios, so please take it with a grain of salt that this is not the end all be all that should be played. Definitely I've seen different ratios, but by all means this is just to show an introductory for Magnet Warriors. Now, before we start though, I always like to start off with non-engine first, because non-engine is preference, budget, and format changing. So we want to start off with that, so we could just get with that. These are probably the most essential hand traps and non-engine to be playing at this moment. Of course, things can always change, so let's get started. This is the Magnet Warrior deck. First and foremost, we're playing 2 Drolls and 1 Maxi. I feel like Droll and Maxi are the most popular hand traps in the game, including Ash Blossom. We'll get there as well, but definitely 2 Drolls. I've seen people not play Droll as well. It's up to you, but I'm enjoying Droll. When you're fighting decks like Mitsurugi, Vanquish Soul, it can definitely make a impact. Playing the 3 Ash Blossom, you have to be playing this. That's standard. Playing the 3 Mulcharmies Fuvalos, that is also pretty standard to be playing 3. You just have to. It's just to help you going second. Now, you do not have to play this, but I absolutely love Nibiru, regardless of if it's not helpful against things like Kewl Tunes, because they could just see your hand. I still play it because I try to build non-engine based off balance of decks, like just to be more all around, just for ranked, because ranked is very diverse, and Nib is great to draw when you're activated and resolve Mulcharmies or Maxi, so something to threaten your opponent with. We're playing the 3 Super Poly. If you want to call this a non-engine board breaker, either one actually, but we're playing 3 because it really does help going second, and it can actually be played on your turn going first. You could easily fuse your own monsters, so you could dodge things like Imperm or something. So it could come up. It's niche, but it's definitely better for going second. Again, there are some builds that are not using Super Poly, so it's up to you, but I've had some success with Super Poly so far. We're playing the 1 Called by the Grave, and that's pretty important too. I really like Called by the Grave. If I could make some space within this deck, I would probably add Crossout, but as of now, I can't. It's really tight. There's a lot of engine in this deck. So that's the non-engine of 4 Magnet Warriors. It's about 15 non-engine here. So that's a pretty standard. 12 is the very minimum a meta deck needs to be playing, in my opinion. Let's go into main engine now, just to show off how the deck works and why you play these cards. It does get very convoluted, so try to just bear with me. Once you see the 1-card combo, you will understand. We are playing the 1 Adamantipator Researcher. Some people play 2, but 1 is good enough. Now, this is a extender card. If you guys don't know, this card is really strong to basically synchro recycle this card, and this is essentially how you get statue on the field most of the time. During your main phase, you can excavate 5 cards from your deck, and if you do, special summon a level 4 or lower rock monster. So if you can hit, usually 99% of times you want to hit with something like Guardian, which is a free monster negate and destroy, so that's really strong, or Barrier. Barrier is just crazy because you're still going to be able to play with having Earth on the field, because most of the Magnet Warrior or extra deck is going to be Earth. So this card is just absolutely cracked with Adamantipator. This is your tuner to go into your extra deck to go into Naturia Beast and Baron de Fleur. We're playing the Cart, is what we like to call it. Cart, the hidden gem of the seafront. This is a extender to basically double normal summon or triple normal summon. You could normal summon up to 3 times within this deck's 1-card combo rotation. We're playing the 3 Beta, the Electromagnet Warrior. This is one of the 3 starters of the deck. Usually you want to have normal summon this within a 1-card combo, but just to share what this does is when you normal summon it, you could get any level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior. This is the Rhoda of the deck, more or less, just for level 4s, and gets what you need. Usually you'll be getting, most of the time, Magnet Warrior Sigma minus. We'll explain what this does, but this is basically polymerization in hand. That's really all you need to know about it for now. Back to Beta Magnet Warrior. The other effect is that during your opponent's turn, you contribute this card, special summon a Magnet Warrior from your deck. There could be a niche situation where you'd want to do this if you get uninterrupted, but more times out of not, you're probably going to just normal summon the search. The second effect can come up, but it's very situational when you make a half board, from what I've seen so far. We're playing the 1 barrier statue. You just have to be playing this. This is the win con. This is the reason we're playing the deck, is to floodgate your opponent to not be able to play the game and just go crazy next turn and OTK them. So you actually have protection to keep this card alive still with barrier statue. That's why this card is so strong. This deck almost reminds me of being like a Yubel deck, but this is a one-of. You could either play this or you could play Fossil Dino, but I prefer this just because you can't play under Fossil Dino yourself either. So barrier statue for now. I'm praying it does not get banned, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. We're playing the 3 Guardians. This is such a strong card. Going first, you could just normal summon this and you still can have a 1-card combo, and this insulates your play from hand traps. This negates and destroys. Usually you'll want this sometimes on your end phase or on your opponent's turn. If you can control a rock monster in your hand, this card does not get destroyed. If not, you're probably already using its effect to negate, which is already strong. We're playing the Adamantipator Analyzer. Why we're playing this is because it's to help you go second. If your opponent controls a card, you can special summon this card from your hand, and it does the same effect as Adamantipator Researcher. You can excavate your deck. If you hit something level 4 or lower rock, you could special summon it. So it's pretty good too, and the reason why we're playing Analyzer is because of Block Dragon. You will see why. It's very important to have certain levels that go up to 8 in certain variations, because Block Dragon will force you to search 3 cards that have to add to 8. That's why. But more on that later. We're playing the 1 Epsilon Magnet Warrior. This is such an important card, and it is only a one-of because this is an extender. When this card's normal summon or special summon, you could send one level 4 lower Magnet Warrior from the deck to the graveyard, except this card. It becomes that name, and then you could special summon any Magnet Warrior that isn't this card's name. This is an extender to get two level 4 bodies, essentially. 99% of times, you're gonna get this card called Magnet Warrior Omega Plus. Now, what this card does, I'll just showcase it now, is this is kind of a interrupter that you sometimes will have on your end board, where when an earth monster activates its effect, you can tribute or this card and you can book a moon something. This can definitely come up and is a good strong interrupter, especially for things like maybe like Yummy, for example, so they can't synchro. But Omega Plus is really strong for interrupting your opponent. Usually, again, your win con is to make all monsters go earth, and then you can just play defense right there and control your opponent's board. The next card we're playing, which is the Yubel portion of this deck. Now, if you guys don't know what Yubel does, it's a deck where if you attack Yubel, you actually inflict damage upon yourself. Very similar. This is Magnet Warrior Sigma Plus. This is a card that you'll almost always want to send to the graveyard, so you ideally don't want to have this in your opening hand. Let's say you do while you control an earth monster, your opponent must attack earth monsters, hence you see why it's forcing you to attack, and you could basically make your opponent crash their own monsters to your own earth monsters, because most of the time they're probably going to have a floodgate to have an earth monster. While your opponent controls an earth monster, you can choose the target of attack too. So there's attack manipulation and attack protection. So that's why Fossil Dino or Earth Barrier Statue is really strong with this deck, because they can't just crash into it. If this card is sent to the graveyard, target one level 4 lower Magnet Warrior in your graveyard except this one, and add it to your hand or special summon it. Usually this goes hand in hand with Epsilon, which I will show a diagram in a bit, but they do definitely go hand in hand. Finally, going into Magnet Warrior Sigma Minus. This is as I mentioned before, this is the fusion of the deck. This is how you're able to fuse like a polymerization by revealing this card from your hand. You can fusion summon from the extra deck using monsters from your hand or field, including this card. And usually 99% of the times, you will be summoning the boss monster, Conduction Warrior Plasma. I should just go over this card now. All face-up monsters do become earth on the field, and if this card is fusion summon, you can add a magnet normal quick play or field spell from deck to hand, and you could send one level 8 Magnet Warrior or Magna Warrior from deck to graveyard. Immediately after that, normal summon a level 4 or lower Magnet Warrior. Very strong there. You'll see how this card is an extender and your end board piece. So yeah, as I mentioned before, this is the Book of Moon of the deck, Omega Plus, and we are playing 2 Duoterion. This is a searcher for your field spell, which also is a fusion. This is a 1-card combo and a bait too sometimes, so really strong. Now, the best starter of the deck, probably the bread and butter of the starter of the deck, is Conduction Warrior Linear Magnum Plus Minus. I'm just gonna call it Magnum for short. Magnum is so strong, is a easy way to dump Magnet Warriors to the graveyard and just go crazy ham, special summoning. Now what this does is basically sends 2 Magnet Warriors from your hand, field, or hand face up on the field or graveyard, and you could special summon this card. If you do that 99% of times, Epsilon and Sigma Plus, which will basically special summon each other. That's the whole point, and you'll have bodies on the field to XYZ summon. That's why this is the best starter in the game. It's a really high attack. Essentially can also out Liger Dancer, because there's a way to protect your monsters from getting destroyed by battle or card effect, and it gains its higher attack. That's why. So 3 of those we are playing. The reason why we're playing the deck is because of this card, Block Dragon. They finally unbanned the block, and this block is unbelievable. It's so recursive, it's so strong. Yeah, this is the reason why this deck is so powerful. This card, now if you don't know how to special summon it, is usually you want to banish 3 monsters from hand or graveyard, 3 earth monsters, and you can special summon this card. And then that's the important part. Rock monsters cannot be destroyed by a card effect that I control. And if this card's sent to the graveyard, that's the most important part. You can add up to 3 rocks that add up to 8. Now why this is important is because usually you always want to add Researcher and 2 betas. That in total adds up to 8. 2 plus 6 is 8, because 2 of these is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 2 is 8. Now, it's important to have multiple variations, as I mentioned, because based off what you need, sometimes maybe you might need a cart, because depending on what your hand is, maybe you have a barrier statue and you want to add a cart to your hand, and maybe you need to extend, maybe you need the Researcher too, and that's 4, so you need to add another 4. And guess what, if you don't have that, that's why you have level 4s like Analyzer or Guardian to add it. So it's important to have a variation to go to 8. Having at least a level 2 is very, very important, so we have 2 of those. If you already open, computations are almost endless. You're able to go 8 based off what you need. If you want to go for barrier statue, if you think you can normal summon it, if you need monster negate, you can have that. If you need the synchro enabler, if you don't already have Researcher either in your hand or so, get it as well. So that's why Block Dragon is so strong. And mind you, it is not once per turn. You could banish 3 earths more than once and special summon this card and synchro link it off, and you could still reuse it again. Recursive, really strong, and the big reason why you're playing this deck because of this card. Now, a boss monster of the deck, which is a mini boss monster if you ask me, it's called Telusion the Magna Warrior. This card is very, very strong. What this card does is special summon it, you need to banish a plus and a minus. So usually this is your plus, this is your minus. You banish those 2 cards, you can special summon this card, and once per turn when your opponent activates a card, you can take control of one of their monsters, destroy it, or you could steal it if it's an earth monster. You may wonder yourself, well, what if it's not an earth monster? It most likely will be if you have Plasma Magnum in your field. That's why this deck is so powerful. Literally floodgates your opponent, because you're stealing away their own, usually you want to steal their own cards so they can't link it off or go into their extra deck or pop it. And what's crazy about this card, during your opponent's turn, you can also tribute this card to dodge effect and special summon 2 banished Magna Warrior Sigmas, thus bringing these 2 cards back, which is crazy because it could dodge effects as well. There's so many moving parts within this deck. That's what makes it strong, that you not only are you floodgating your opponent, controlling them, stealing their cards, not letting them synchro properly because of the floodgate maybe, and floodgating them with spell negates. So it's absolutely oppressive. Last and final card in the main deck is Magnet Bonding. This card is both a searcher, starter, and a end board piece. You're able to usually want a fusion on your opponent's turn or your turn with this card, depending on what you have in hand, but either you're gonna just use it as a starter to add Magnum to your hand or fusion summon. Usually you're gonna obviously fusion summon Conduction Warrior, but on your opponent's turn you'll be fusing for Flux. I'll explain what Flux does in a bit, but that's a great segue. We are now done with the main deck. This is the main deck. It does look overwhelming with all these moving parts, but once I show the 1-card combo, you'll see why this deck really needs to do a lot of thinking in terms of combos, and 1-card combos does not do enough justice. And I want to explicitly say that there are multiple ways to combo this deck, that just because I explain it does not mean it's the only way you can end on a board. Depending if you want this card in your field or not. Sometimes some players do not want this in their cards because it could easily super poly themselves because all cards on the field are Earth. Some people want to link it away anyways and follow up maybe for next turn for something different. That's fine. That's up to the player. I just need to show at least a basic understanding of how to play the deck. Moving on now to the extra deck now. We're playing for the super poly targets, Mud Dragon to pop away their problematic monsters and to make our monsters possibly untargetable. This is specifically for Kewl Tunes. I have not yet used this, but definitely can see how it could pop up. We're playing Garura lastly, just to get that draw and just to get rid of problematic monsters. Standard super poly targets. We already introduced this. This is Conduction Warrior Plasma Magnum. This is possibly a end board piece, if not extender, but definitely an end board piece if you want to stop certain decks. This is absolutely powerful. Like for example, if you're playing against Yummy, if you're playing against Fiendsmith, this deck will shut them down because they won't be able to access their extra deck. In addition, someone also mentioned to me that if they play like something like Impulse from their hand on turn 1 on our turn, and they negate something, and we somehow could summon this, kind of floodgated them from their field. They won't be able to even play anything because they're earth monsters, and one of the attributes for people who play Dominus Impulse is you can't activate Earth's effects. So that's kind of a self-inflicting floodgate right there. Really, really strong. Playing Flux. Now what Flux does, you want to fusion this on your opponent's turn, because what this can do is bounce and special summon rock monsters from your graveyard. Really strong there. That's important because certain cards that you want to target is Guardian. Guardian's a monster negate and destroy, and it's not once per turn. So let's say you use this effect and then you bonding to go into Flux, you can essentially resurrect the Guardian to negate again. If not, maybe this might be in the graveyard. There's a world where this can be in the graveyard and you could just special summon it on your opponent's turn as layered interruption. That's absolutely broken what Flux can do. Lastly, in addition, this card can target one card on the field or your monster your opponent controls and that I control, send them back to the extra deck or back to the hand. This is important because you can easily recycle. Really, really strong. Playing Naturia Beast, this is a powerful spell floodgate. It will shut down decks like maybe Sky Strikers. So really, really strong Naturia Beast. This will also shut down like Radiant Typhoon. Insta-win. One Baron, Omni Negate, easily summonable, usually with Block Dragon plus Adamancipator Researcher. This is the bridge. Granite has been such a menace ever since Mitsurugi came out, or it's ever since Ryzeal came out. Gallet Granite has been so powerful. Easy search for any rock from deck to hand. Usually you're gonna search Block Dragon with Gallet Granite. Now, situational cards, we're playing Reprodoc. If you're wondering why, there is a world where, let's say, Gallet Granite gets negated. You have a rock monster on the field, Gallet Granite, and something else. What you can do is actually go into Reprodoc, declare a type. Usually you want to make it a different monster type, and you have somehow 3 monsters on the board plus you use your normal summon. You will see in situational combos, but you can actually go into Curious, the Lightsworn Dominion, and what this card does is you need 3 attributes that are the same but different types. That's exactly why we use Reprodoc, because Reprodoc is a dinosaur earth. You need a rock earth, for example, and then lastly, let's say you had a normal summon like I don't know, Beta Warrior. This is also a rock earth. You need to change its type to a dragon, and then you'll have 3 different types, and then you can easily go into Curious to send anything from deck to the graveyard, which usually you're gonna send Block Dragon, and then you're able to access Block Dragon. So it is very niche. You don't have to play it, but I've seen a lot of pro players use it. I could see why it comes up. So it's up to you, either that or if there's anything stronger to help you maybe go second, definitely something to experiment with. I'm playing the 1 IP. IP is usually just going to go into SP Little Knight here, so that's pretty common. However, IP has some different targets within this deck that it can also go into. You can also go into Dograg. I'll just call it the Storm Trooper. The Stone Trooper is a really strong card too. It's pretty niche, but it can definitely be used here as a disruptor. During your opponent's main phase, you can target one monster they control with less attack or equal to the discard. This card loses that attack equal to that monster, but destroy that card. So it's kind of a strong disruptor just to pop a monster. Weaker defense in this. Usually it's going to be 3500, so most of the time you'll be able to pop monster with this card because you're going to target one monster into your graveyard and this card gains equal to that attack. And that's usually going to be the strongest card in our deck that's in the graveyard. It's probably going to be between Block Dragon, 2500, and Telusion. They're both going to be in your graveyard. So you can easily target it and make it 3500. Pretty strong. Lastly, we're playing Asa, the Earth Charmer. This is a extender card just for Block Dragon. We need more Earths to banish, that's why. So it's kind of just a throwaway card. And lastly, Sprite Elf. We're playing Sprite Elf because you can definitely bring back Researcher and still continue synchroing. Sprite Elf is really strong in this deck because of protection. You're getting so much protection. You're getting attack manipulation protection, you're getting Sprite Elf protection, and you're just floodgating your opponent. Sprite Elf is also really strong. It's either this or Cross Sheep, but I personally like Sprite Elf more than Cross Sheep. And you may be wondering yourself, where is Cross Sheep? The whole point to show one card combos, because I haven't seen many on YouTube where you're doing one card combos without Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is no longer needed. You could still play it, but it's no longer needed. It's not essential to have in your extra deck. You could still one card combo. Thus, that's a great segue to finally share one card combos within this deck. Thank you so much. This is the deck profile. I hope this made sense just to explain what the cards do. Now it's very important to show the one card combos to teach you guys how to at least play the deck in this certain way, but it is not an end all be all. So just want to put that out there. But before I share that, I'd like to show some diagrams of the one card combos. Now, before I share the diagram, I'd like to give a shout out to my teacher and the one who taught me this deck, DorminMax. Thank you so much for teaching me this deck. He's a phenomenal player, and I hope you guys check out his deck profiles and what he does. It is really unique, and truly respect him as a player. Thank you so much, DorminMax, for teaching me this deck and introducing it to me. Without you, I wouldn't have learned this deck as efficiently as you taught me. So thank you again, DorminMax. How an end board could possibly look here. This is an example. Again, some people don't want to have the Conduction Warrior Magnum here on the field because, again, you could easily super poly yourself, but I just want to show a basic end board one card combo that usually will almost always 9 times out of 10 end like this uninterrupted. Now this may possibly weak or outable, but it's actually very, very layered here. So just to share what we have 2 floodgates, we have protection from Elf, we have an Omni Negate, we have a rip a card here with Telusion / pop that card, fusion with Flux. This is magnet bonding here, which can bounce 2 cards. And then we also have Telusion to bring back the Sigma plus and minus, which can protect Naturia Beast from getting disrupted. In total, that's about 8 to 9 disruptions, depending if you count Elf, that your opponent has to play through. That's so layered, these interruptions from the banishment. It's almost hard to out this. The only way to out it is probably with Kaijus and Dark Ruler No More and Super Poly. So Super Poly is very popular, but this is a absolute FTK floodgating deck, and that's not even in to include sometimes you could easily have Barrier Statue in the graveyard or summoned on the field. Your opponent has to play through 3 floodgates is unheard of. It's crazy. Really, really strong deck. That's exactly why I'm playing it, because nowadays decks just have a unique floodgate. Kewl Tunes with their synchro disruption with changing levels. We have Yummy with their Herald, and now we have this deck with floodgating here. So this is an end board just to show off. This is the one card combo with Conduction Warrior Magnum. plus minus. And usually Duotarian will search bonding, and bonding will search the Magnum. So no matter what, this is like a trifecta triangle that it's still a one card combo, assuming this is all uninterrupted. This is the Duotarian searching bonding, and bonding will search Magnum plus. It is also could be a bait. You could already even have this in your hand, and they could just ash bonding Duotarian. So usually one card combo, assuming uninterrupted, Magnum will dump both Sigma Plus and Epsilon. The trigger of Sigma Plus will now special summon Epsilon to the field, which Epsilon's effect here will end up special summoning Sigma Plus, but you have to dump something. Usually you will dump Omega Plus, which is the Book of Moon, as I mentioned. It's really strong as well for a layered disruption. And on the board, you'll have Conduction Warrior, Epsilon, and Magnet, or Sigma Plus. Thus, when you overlay, that's how you get Gallant Granite, and then you go Block Dragon, and that's where you open up the Adamantipator plays and search even more. Usually this is the one card combo with Magnum Plus, or if you want to count Duotarian and Magnet Bonding. Either one searches Magnum Plus and opens up your gates to Adamantipator. So yes, thank you. Going on to the second diagram for a one card combo. This is Beta, the Electric Magnet Warrior, going into one card combo. If you open this card in your opening hand, uninterrupted, what you do, it's almost the same thing except you're using your normal summon here. You're gonna normal summon Beta to search a level 4 or lower. It's gonna be Sigma minus, and then Sigma minus you'll want to fuse together, and one on the field and one in the hand to go Conduction Warrior, Plasma Magnum. And then Magnum will search bonding, and then as I mentioned in the first diagram, bonding will search linear or Magnet Warrior Magnum, and we'll do the same as the first diagram, sending both Epsilon and Sigma Plus for eventually having this 4 cards on the field. Same thing. So Sigma Plus will special summon Epsilon, Epsilon will dump Omega Plus, and then special summon Sigma Plus. Having these 4 cards on the field, you'll overlay again for Gallic Granite, go Block Dragon, same as last time. This is the one card combo with Beta Magnet Warrior. Hope that made sense. I now want to show off how to do the one card combo in a field. Thank you. So for the main combo, this is the one card combo with using Magnum from hand by going Duotarian via Magnet Bonding search to end up still getting Magnum. Now I want to share this is just again to show off that it does not matter which of those 3 cards you start with, as long as obviously you get it uninterrupted. So assuming we do Duotarian here to add us Magnet Bonding. And then Magnum Bonding searches us Conduction Warrior Magnum, and this is where the combo truly starts. So having this one card combo, you will special summon, and again 99% of time, even if you have an opening hand, it does not matter, you can dump it. You will dump Epsilon and you will dump Sigma Plus to special summon, and then the effect of Sigma effect to special summon Epsilon, and then Epsilon will now dump most of the time Omega Plus, and then the effect, it special summons anything except that card, and now this opens up, this is choke point to go into Gallant. And Gallant will open up the gates for unblocking the block. It doesn't really matter which you send to the grave because you will eventually be linking this off, but usually I like to send Epsilon. Does not matter for the most part. And you will get Block Dragon. Now you may be wondering, most people in one card combos are going into Cross Sheep now. You do not need to go into Cross Sheep in this example. You'll actually be going IP Masquerena now. You don't have to go into Cross Sheep. Why? Eventually, you're gonna end up banishing this Omega Plus. Again, based off hand, sometimes you'll have more than one Earth, but in this case, one card combo, since we want to pretend everything else is a brick, we go IP Masquerena. And then Block Dragon's effect. Now this is actually very, very important. Never, ever, ever banish Sigma or the minus yet. Sometimes not even Omega Plus. So essentially you're just gonna banish Gallic Granite, Magnum, and Epsilon. Banishing all three. Block Dragon comes out. And then we go into Elf here to send Block Dragon intentionally to the graveyard. Going into Sprite Elf. Effect of Block Dragon. You get to get any cards that add up to 8. So usually, you get Adamantipator Researcher. And then you're gonna get 2 Beta Warriors. Even though we have one in hand, just pretend we don't. And then, we have not even normal summoned yet, which is so crazy good. We use Beta's effect to search Sigma minus, or basically Polymerization. Then Polymerization to go into Conduction Warrior, Plasma Magnum. And this is super important. Fuse the field, not the hand. The reason you want to fuse the field is because of later you will see in the effect of Plasma Warrior. Effect to search and make everything Earth. We get our Magnet Bonding. This is for next turn. Now, if you're wondering, this is why. You can send one level 8 Magnum Warrior from deck to grave. Immediately after that, it's normal summon 1. So assuming we didn't have the other Beta, I mean, we can't even normal summon then, because again, everything is bricks except Adamantipator and Beta. But that's why it's so important. If you fuse the hand, you would not be able to use that effect. So we'll be sending Delusion to the graveyard to normal summon Beta. And then the effect to Researcher to extend and special summon as a tuner. And then you want to use the effect of Excavating to try to normal summon, you know, something crazy like the rock monsters like Guardian and or Barrier Statue. You want to summon one of these 3 cards. It's not likely, but it is possible. But for the sake of one card combos, we're gonna pretend you did not hit anything, and it's fine. It does not matter whether or not you hit. It's only a bonus if you are able to summon Guardian, because for example, Guardian, you're gonna be able to monster negate. It's so strong. So that's why we love Adamantipator Researcher, but for the sake of examples, we're not going to use the effect, okay? Let's pretend we hit all non-engine, and then it didn't work. So now, we actually go into Naturia Beast. This is one of the boss monsters of the deck. I like the protection with Elf, so it does not get impermed. And then we use the effect of Block Dragon a second time. That's why Block Dragon is absolutely broken. We could just banish cards. We'll banish Beta, Beta, 2 Betas, and Omega Plus. Unfortunately, you have to banish Omega Plus within this example, so you will not be able to use the Book of Moon, because you definitely do not banish minus and plus. Do not. Banish the 3, get back Block Dragon, and then Elf to get back Researcher. And then we actually can go into Baron. You may wonder yourself, will you put Baron on the points? Unfortunately, we do not. Actually, we do. I'm so sorry. And then we'll banish 1 plus and 1 minus. Bam. Then we set magnet bonding. And that is it. This is the end board 1-card combo. Crazy. We even have follow-up with IP here. It's so crazy with Elf here. We have protection, and this is it. This is the end board. Now, if you're wondering how many disruptions and interruptions we have 2 floodgates, 1 Omni negate, Illusion to steal a card or pop the card. We have magnet bonding to go into flux to bounce a card. We have IP to SP to banish 2 cards with SP. And lastly, we still have Magnet Warrior Sigma Plus to negate, or sorry, to choose what card to get attacked from our Earth, or we have Sigma Plus here to manipulate what must be attacked. Your opponent has to attack with Earth monsters. And lastly, we also have a monster negate here with Sigma Minus, that once per turn when your opponent declares an attack involving 2 Earths, you can negate it. In total, 9 disruptions your opponent has to play through uninterrupted. That's almost an insta-win here, especially playing with 2 floodgates. We're not even talking about the fact that you could have hit with Adamantipator Researcher, and plus our deck is 23. The chances of hitting something is actually really likely. That's super strong. This is the 1-card combo with just going into Conduction Warrior Magnum. This 1 card put this board. Thank you. So for the second combo, 1-card combo uninterrupted, we're going to be using Beta as the 1-card combo. And as I mentioned again, this is a pretty good hand just to show off. 4 bricks, assuming this magnet bonding isn't in our hand either. Just pretend it does not exist except Beta. So just to show off how this works, again, I'd like to show off the diagram one last time. Again, so Beta Warrior is going to get Sigma Minus, and then you're going to fuse these 2 into Conduction Warrior Plasma and get bonding. And then after getting bonding, you end up getting, you search to get Conduction Linear Magnum plus minus to end up doing the same combo. Now the only difference is you may not have bonding in your end board like last time, unfortunately, but it is still going to be the same combo minus the bounce with bonding. So going back, pretending all 4 cards are bricks, we normal summon Beta. Beta's effect, getting us Sigma Minus. Sigma Minus effect to fuse to Conduction Warrior Plasma. Using the field and hand, we summon the first boss monster. Now, the effect, I'm gonna pretend I used it just to show that, you know, we got the bonding in our hand. So let's pretend I used it, boom, and I searched it, okay? I'm gonna cancel. And then here's our bonding in our hand. We'll use the effect to add Conduction Warrior Magnum to our hand. As always, we use the same formula. You'll always dump Epsilon and Sigma Plus, or the gray and orange. special summoning itself, the effect of Sigma Plus to get Epsilon to special summon itself, and then effect of Epsilon to dump Omega Plus, and then the effect to special summon, it doesn't matter as long as it's a level 4, to special summon it, and that ends up getting us Gallet Granite. And this is the same play as before, really good here. This is Choke Point to get Block Dragon. And as always, you don't have to go into Osso or Cross Sheep anymore. You could just go into IP here. Sending these two. Summon IP Masquerena. And then Block Dragon effect. Remember, do not ever banish Sigma Plus or Minus. You want to use that for the effect of Delusion. So what you're going to banish instead is things like Gallet, Granite, Linear, and Epsilon. You'll banish, you special summon Block Dragon, and then you can go into Elf like last combo. Then the effect of Block Dragon to get, really depends on your hand. You have so many options. You could go into Barrier Statue with Cart, depending on your hand. If you have a crazy Disruption, no matter what though, for example's sake, I am going to go Emancipator Researcher, and then I want beta. You will see why, because you could still use the effect of Conduction Warrior Plasma. So we're gonna just still get the betas like last time. Even though you normal summoned already. The point is, if you want Naturia Beast, this is the way you need to do it. So you send Delusion, then the effect of beta to summon itself, then add Emancipator Researcher. Now depending if you hit with Researcher is important, because you know you can have an extra negate a body to go into more disruption, but thing is, we're gonna pretend we didn't hit. It's always safer to pretend you didn't hit, just because during the off chance you don't, at least you know how to still a one card combo. So here we're gonna go into Nat Beast here. And then use the effect of Sprite Elf to get back Researcher. And then what's crazy, we're not done. You can still use Block Dragon. And what you're gonna use to banish, you're gonna banish the Magnet Warriors. And you have a choice. You can still banish the Magnet Warrior here in your hand, or the Omega Plus, but since we want to use the Omega Plus possibly to Book of Moon something, I wouldn't suggest it, but we don't have a bonding. Usually, again, what you could do with Flux is you could special summon a rock monster from the graveyard. Thus, you could easily summon Omega Plus to Book of Moon. But for this case, I'm just gonna banish just in case, and just to be more practical, the beta in our hand. And here comes the block. And here is the Baron de Fleur. Sometimes I want to put it in its protection, but sometimes you don't want to, because with Elf, you can actually resummon something, IP, and then you could link it. So, but that's up to you. I'm just gonna Baron here, and that is the end of this combo. Actually, you could still special summon Delusion, banish one, banish this, and it's practically the same end board as the other one, except we don't have Magnet Bonding unless you drew an extra one. And that's the end of this combo. Again, this is the same thing minus the bounce. So what you have here is two Floodgates, the steal a card or pop the card, an Omni Negate, and then you have a Sigma minus to negate in a attack, and you have your opponent's forced to attack. So that in total, that's 6 disruptions your opponent has to play through. still, not including the other cards that were in your hand. And if you could summon Omega Plus to Book of Moon, in this case I don't think we can. Oh, we also have Little Knight, sorry. So that's in total 8 disruptions, 2 banishes right there too. Really, really strong. Yes, that's the 1-card combo with the beta. That was the only card in our hand. We still managed to get a very similar end board. Thank you so much. Hope that made sense. So a great example here, assuming they're all bricks except Magnet, Warrior, Sigma Minus, and any rock. I know we already have full combo, but the whole point is to share off Sigma Minus plus any rock. Does not matter what it is, just to show it off. This is gonna end up being as strong as the beta 1-card combo. Maybe a little stronger, but unfortunately you will not end on Magnet Bonding because you'll be using it to search the Conduction Warrior Linear. So that is not going to be part of it. For example's sake, what we're going to do here, starting off, is the effect of Fusion into Conduction Warrior Plasma. And let's just say, for example's sake, we use the effect. I'm not going to use the effect to get the second bonding, pretending that we already used it. And here we go. We use the effect to add Conduction Warrior Linear. And then Linear, when you special summon it, again, Epsilon and Sigma. Sending to the grave. Sigma's effect to get Epsilon. And then Epsilon special summons itself to dump Omega Plus or the yellow one. To special summon any level 4, usually does not matter as long as it's level 4. I'll just get Sigma Plus and we go into Gallic Granite. This is choke point again. You really want this to get not negated. But let's say it does get negated. What you can do, this is to show it off now. We actually used Reprodoc, and how you're wondering, you need 3 Earth monsters with different attributes. So when you link off, for example, Gallic Granite and Conduction Warrior Linear, you get Reprodoc. So you have this, 2 Earth monsters, and then if you haven't used a normal summon, you could just normal summon like a hand trap or something, or any rock. You want to make sure it is pointing at the bottom or zone 2 and 4, because then you could change the type. Its effect says declare 1 monster type and it becomes that type at the end, thus opening the use of Curious. Curious now uses 3 monsters with the same attribute but different types. You're gonna have a rock Earth, you're gonna have a dinosaur Earth with Reprodoc, and lastly, whatever you normal summon under Reprodoc will just be a random like divine or dragon type Earth, therefore going into Curious. Great way of using, very niche, but it comes up just in case they imperm this. Continuing, we get Block Dragon. And as always, you don't have to go into OS or anything, you automatically go into IP. Don't have to worry about it going into Crush Sheep. And then the effect of Block, Banishing Granite, Conduction Warrior Linear, and Epsilon. Special summon. And then this goes into Elf. And then Elf, or it triggers Block Dragon. Again, usually, it depending on your hand, you will choose that, depends on the player. But for example's sake, for a 1-card combo, you're gonna go Emancipator Researcher, Beta, and 1 more Beta. You'll see why. It is still really strong. We haven't even used our normal summon yet. That's what's crazy about this. And you can still use the effect to additionally normal summon again. So we could do that right now. Dumping Delusion to normal summon Beta. Effect of Beta to get Sigma Minus. Then we can normal summon again. And Adamancer Researcher. So it does not matter Again, we're assuming we're not going to use the effect, or we're not going to hit any targets with Researcher, because even if you do, you'll just have extra bodies. But the whole point is you're going to go into Naturia Beast. And then you can actually special summon the block again by banishing the beta. You could banish the what you originally banished with Linear Plus, and even the Sigma minus in hand. So there's that. We do that, and then we can elf here to get Researcher. Then we can go into Baron the Fluer. And then we can Illusion to banish one. Then special, defense position. And lastly, you can actually summon Omega's Plus. That's a unique one. Popping. We do not end sadly on Magnet Bonding, but this is the end board. Really strong. You have 5 cards in the extra deck already, or main deck, so you won't be able to get IP here, so keep that in mind. Not yet, until you use effects. You have to, it's probably best to use Omega Plus first, because you will tribute this card to open up your field, to target one card in the field and set it face down, one monster. In total though, very, very similar end board. You have 2 field flood, you have 2 floodgates, you have the steal a card / pop it, you have an Omni negate, you have a Book of Moon, you have IP to SP, you then have Sigma minus to negate an attack, and Sigma plus to force an attack / manipulate what to attack. So usually you can make them attack Baron the Floor with 3000 attack, and then they end up crashing into it. So that's 9 disruptions your opponent has to play through. Very unlikely they're gonna play through this, and even if they do, they're gonna have to get something crazy like Super Poly, Dark Ruler No More, Kaijus, because yeah, you have a lot of ways to protect this board. In addition, you even have Sprite Elf to protect them from getting Impermed and Baron. So crazy. Yep, this is the last final 1-card combo. I just want to share 1-card combos because, again, as you can see, this deck can deviate based off hitting with Researcher, based off hitting with searching with Block Dragon, your opening hand, and depending on what your opponent negates, you have to play differently based off what happens. But yes, this is the last 1-card. This is a 1.5 combo with the Sigma minus plus any rock in your hand. This is the end board. I hope that made sense. Thank you so much. So before we start, I just wanted to share it was incredibly difficult to get replays. It was hard to get someone to full combo go uninterrupted just to show off an example. So again, if you need the 1-card combo, check out timestamps just to see the 1-card combos. But again, in practice, you're gonna get disrupted. That's typically how Yu-Gi-Oh works, and you have to freestyle your combos sometimes. For this sake, this is gonna be uninterrupted, but we are gonna play something very unique. We're gonna just normal summon Guardian to insulate ourselves from any monster negates. Before we start, I am aware too, a lot of my games I do end on Plasma Magnum. The whole point is just to show off the end board. There is a vulnerability to keeping Plasma Magnum on the field because you could get yourself Super Poly'd, because Super Poly can easily fuse your board because everything is Earth. So please keep that in mind. Ideally, you do want sometimes Plasma in the graveyard, because Plasma, you can recycle it with Flux, and unfortunately I don't have replays for that, but there is a world where when Plasma is in the graveyard, you can recycle it and get bonding again. But that's for another situational video. Let's just show at least how to play and combo with this deck. Now with this hand, this is really strong going first because we have insulation for monster, 2 monster negate, and 1 card combo with the linear Magnum. Starting off, we normal summon. We always drop the 2 as always, those 2. So orange special summons Epsilon. Epsilon drops yellow. Orange comes out, and choke point Gallic Granite. If this gets negated, this is where it gets difficult. There is a world too where you can actually still get Block Dragon, but thankfully we don't get disrupted here. To go Block Dragon. And very important here, you don't go Cross Sheep. You go IP here. IP here is more optimal now instead of Cross Sheep because you can have more in your extra deck here. So we summon Elf and then the effect of Block Dragon to get 2 Researcher and 2 Betas. And see, we already normal summon, mind you, so there is a dilemma here. However, just to show how to get through it, thankfully we had Cart. This is a very niche way to play because sometimes you won't have this in your hand, but you could double summon here. Thankfully we had that. We double summon Beta, and this is still as if it was supposed to be full combo, just pretend Guardian was never on the field anyways. And this is the same full end board. You go to Plasma Magnum for bonding, then dumping Delusion to double summon. Adamantipator comes out. We try to dig our field, and voila, we are not going to no longer do the 1 card combo because we got something even crazier. We hit with Barrier Statue. This is a war crime card. It is crazy. Just gonna link into or synchro into Nat Beast. If you're wondering why I didn't put it on its point of Elf, was just in the given case I preferred Delusion here at this point because Barrier Statue was more important for defense. But here, this is a crazy end board, and I actually misplay here. I wanted to bring that up. Guardian should have been tributed for Omega. Omega should have been on the field, and I would have had a Book of Moon here. But since we didn't, I'm gonna just count it as a loss for us. But here, our end board, if you're wondering, we have 2 floodgates, 3 floodgates, my mistake, that's crazy. We have Delusion to pop and steal a monster card, Sigma plus and minus to negate an attack and force them to attack something that isn't Barrier Statue. That's 6 disruptions. And then we have the Super Poly to bounce a card to the field, and then we could still get Guardian with that. Now, if you're wondering what it does, Flux again, when it's special fusion summon, you can special summon a rock from hand or graveyard except this card. So usually after we use all our effects, we're gonna Flux and get back Guardian from the graveyard, and then that's another monster negate. That's literally 8 disruptions FTK here with 3 floodgates. That's wild. Our opponent goes, they Lubellion, that's fine because they can't special summon it because of Earth Barrier Statue. They try to Allure of Darkness, Beast to negate, Allure of Darkness, and that was it. That's the power of this deck. We hit with Adamantipator. Usually in the 1 card combo, we pretend we didn't hit because you could still combo off without it. But because we hit something more valuable, we pivoted into Earth Barrier Statue and played defense and control with that. You don't have to play that way. Sometimes you could link summon your Plasma and not have it on the field. Again, people sometimes don't like that card. That's the way I'm using it as of now. But yeah, let's go on to the next. I do want to share too, we were playing a duel trial. If you're wondering, would they have 6 cards in their hand? That's because I was doing the event and everything was legal. And just because of that, I wanted a challenge. If they're gonna have 6 cards in their hand, well, they could hand trap us more. So this duel is against DDD, and our hand is absolute kind of dog water. If you're wondering why, it's because we can't really play the game. We don't have any starters, at least inherently no true starter. So this does not look good right now. So our only play is Analyzer to excavate the deck. The reason I share this is because you will have hands like this, and it's not ideal, but it's also kind of funny. This was a great interaction to show you guys why Plasma on the field is sometimes absolutely a menace if you know what you're playing against. And against DDD, what happens here is I have to make a hard decision here. The only thing really I could do is normal summon this. Analyzer comes out. It gets Molcharmid. So that means they're gonna get a draw, and they have 6 cards in their hand already. It's not really gonna be the most ideal thing, but you know, we have to make a play here. We have to hit something. Ooh, and as the last card, that was luck. We got Beta. Beta gets us the blue Sigma minus. Sigma minus to fusion. The reason, if you're wondering, usually again you're supposed to fuse on the field. I chose to fuse with Sigma plus because you want plus and minus in the graveyard. You'll see why. They're drawing again, and then Sigma plus gets us to special summon, and this is the funniest part. They Dominus Impulse us. Now, if you're wondering why this is absolutely funny and why I'm sharing this, is because they negate our effect. That sucks. It truly does. But then we have Magnet Bonding. Use the effect to dump Delusion, to normal summon Epsilon. Epsilon dumps, links all 3 into Stone Trooper. They're drawing still. And then we special Delusion and end phase here. What you're wondering here, doesn't look that much scary, but real quick, we have 1 floodgate, 1 pop / steal a card, plus and minus to negate and force them to attack, Stone Trooper to pop, Magnet Bonding to go into flux to bounce a card. So 6 disruptions our opponent has to play through here. It's still formidable, but this is why this is funny. They have, last sentence, if you activate this card from your hand, you cannot activate the effects of light, earth, wind, monsters for the rest of the duel. This is a floodgate for earth, so our opponent essentially self-floodgated themselves. So in total, we actually have 7 disruptions our opponent has to play through, extra 1 that they have to play through within themselves, and it is absolutely kind of funny. I was laughing because they imperm here. This is the funny thing too, maybe they didn't understand the deck, so I'm not gonna poop on them for not understanding, but they actually try to hit Delusion. We tribute Delusion to dodge target. If only they hit Plasma, they could have possibly broken this board, because it's DDD. But I think they forgot that they're under Impulse, because you're not really thinking to yourself, oh, I have all dark deck, so I'm not gonna poop on them. And they're just trying to summon, and they realize they couldn't really use the effects of what they're summoning. And because of this, they weren't able to add pendulums from deck to the field. So they pendulum summon here, and they pendulum summon, and that was it. It was a lot more funny when you're watching it live because they're just paused for a long time thinking what's going on, and well, they locked themselves out with a self floodgate. Very interesting there. That's one thing you have to kind of realize, a very niche but also important way to play just because of the effect of Plasma. On Duel going first, our hand is absolutely broken to going first specifically. We're fighting against Maliss. Our hand is just too strong. We normal summon the Guardian. Guardian, again, is an insulator for any monsters effects that your opponent tries to play. We try to bait here with Duotarion, and they Maliss March here. Duotarion gets us Magnet Bonding. Dormouse tries to special. They Droll and Lock. That's actually very threatening, so we Guardian here. And because of that, that makes it full combo here, and then we chain 4 for Bonding. Bonding gets us Linear Magnum. Adamancipator Researcher is now online. This is a really cool interaction why I'm sharing this too. That's why Adamancipator Researcher is good if you're gonna go second usually, but this case we're going first because they have monsters on their board. Linear here to special Epsilon. This is typical. Omega gets sent. Going into Galagranite, and this is choke point. They negate this, not ideal, but we get Block Dragon. So unlock the block. Going into IP. This duel we overcooked way too much, and we go back into Elf. Remember, do not be banishing your plus Sigma pluses and minuses, but we don't have minus yet. Just these three because you're not gonna see them again. Then Block Dragon getting us Cart, Adamantipator Researcher, and Sigma minus. This is important because we wanted Cart. We already normal summon Guardian, so keep that in mind. So that's why Cart is an extender, really OP here, to double summon, but we don't use it just yet. We analyze her first to try to hit something. And we hit Sigma minus to dump Delusion. And then Researcher specials, we're hoping to hit again. So we literally excavated our deck 5 times and put it under our deck, and then we're gonna excavate again, hoping to get something. Lucky we got the beta. Beta is really important because now we get Sigma minus. We go into a Nat Beast with protection of Elf, and then Elf brings back Researcher. Sigma minus to fuse the Adamantipator's effect of Plasma for second bonding, and then try to get Block Dragon again, going into Baron. Now I did a boo-boo here. I over-summoned here. I cannot get Delusion anymore, and I really want Barrier Statue. So I overcooked here. I really truly wanted to get something like Stone Trooper out, but if only I played it just a tad bit different, I could have gotten Stone Trooper out. Like maybe if I summoned the earlier Sigma minus and then linked the 3, the board like minus and this Adamantipator. If we get Analyzer, Plasma, and maybe something in our hand, we would have easily still went into Stone Trooper. But instead we did this, and we got Barrier Statue, so it's okay. And then I just popped. If you're wondering here, this is still a crazy board. We have 3 Floodgates, 1 Omni Negate, 1 Attack Negate, and then we actually have the Bounce of Flux. So 6 disruptions our opponent has to play through with Elf protecting. Our opponent cannot summon, and there's Spell and Trap Negate, so their only way is to crash into Barrier Statue. The normal summon, Circular. I have 2, so I just grabbed. And then when they tried to attack, I negated it. So really strong there. That's just to show, be mindful of how you summon. You could easily just have weaved your plays and gotten like Stone Trooper, and then had still Baron, and still be able to go into this end board with Statue. Now, going first here, we're fighting against Voiceless Voice, and why I want to showcase this example is to actually show the reasoning why we play a small package I'd like to call the Curious Package. And that what Curious Package does is it dumps anything to the graveyard. You have to play that hand in hand with a card called Reprodoc. Reprodoc is to basically change the monster type of a monster, so you can go into Curious. This is an example of using it. We normal summon Beta, trying to 1-card combo. We always go into Sigma usually. Sigma is gonna fuse us. We actually fuse Delusion because the issue here is you don't like seeing Delusion in your hand, because having Delusion means you cannot dump Delusion with Plasma Magnum to double summon. Either way, we couldn't even double summon anyway, so we Magnet Bonding for Conduction Warrior, Ascending, Epsilon, and Sigma Plus. Sigma Plus special summoning to get Ghost Spell. Ghost Spell is a really strong choke point here because we may not have bodies, especially if I started with Linear. So instead, we linked into Reprodoc. Something I made a mistake. I could have actually went Asa and special summoned it here, and then easily went into Curious, but instead we played it this way. by getting to Illusion, but yes, we should have gotten, and I'm sharing this now, Asa, the Link Charmer, Earth, could have easily went in this as well, but the point is, no matter what, we went to Curious, just pretend it was not Ghost Spell. So that's kind of a misplay. We unblocked the block, discarding to something not ideal. Cart got hit. We can't double summon anymore. So darn, that sucks, but we have the Heart of the Cards with us. We'll link Curious and Block Dragon into Asa. And then Block Dragon adding us Researcher. And just betas. Even though we can't normal summon, it wasn't ideal that that happened. What we could have done was still gotten maybe something like Omega, but instead we played this way, and we still used their monster to go into Elf, and then Elf just to get a body. I was kind of just freestyling it here, and then add Emancipator Researcher, trying to hit a card, and we get Guardian. Really good here. And our opponent just quits. No matter what there, we would have had Baron, 2 hand traps, and the monster negate. That's 4 disruptions, even though we did get hit by that hand trap, which was kind of detrimental. But again, it worked out using those Link Charmer. Curious, just to show an example of how Curious comes up if you are not able to get 2 bodies on the field and get disrupted to go into Gallic Granite. Now, to show Duel's finally going second, we are playing against the strongest deck in the game, Kewl Tunes. And you are wondering, we are playing still the event, and we have 6 cards in hand, so just FYI there. But still, it should still be the same game regardless. Kewl Tunes Reco gets it to get Rotary. We mulch armies. They Ash. I mulch armies again. MVP there. And we wonder how far they will play. They go into Remix, drawing us Bonding, and then this is a funny part. They see our hand. That's a smart one, Super Poly, and they keep Ash on top of our deck, which is really strong. We have so many 1-card starters in our hand. We have 4, literally. We go. I use the Effective Analyzer to try to get any baits, because Analyzers, if it hits, it's even more powerful, and we'd indeed hit. And, well, you know what we get out of these 4? We get Guardian, because Guardian will insulate us from any monster activations here. Duoteria to try to get any more negates, to get double bonding. Sending the 2, Epsilon and Sigma Plus, trying to special summon. I think they knew it was cracked. I don't think they were going to get away from this, because we would definitely have enough to OTK them and full card combo them. So really good against Kewl Tunes, the strongest deck in the room and meta right now. So another going second. We're fighting used to be the best deck during the Duelist Cup for March of 2026. Yummy Solfachord. Our hand is good. Going second, kind of. They Promoa, which is the main card to go 1-card combo in Solfachord Yummy. I already knew this was Solfachord Yummy once I saw these 2 cards. And we threatened them with a Mulch Armies after Resolution, because I don't want them to overcook. So they go into IP here, and they droll us. That sucked. They summon, they go into Kulia. And I will just let them cook while we're waiting. Our hand, if you're wondering how we're gonna break that board, Super Poly is indeed the MVP. Super Poly is so strong, I recommend it within this deck because it's gonna help you going second. Without Super Poly, this would not have worked. Our opponent is cooking us under Growl, but we have a secret way to win. And finally, they end. This is a strong board they have. They have a Floodgate, they have Omni Negate, they have Book of Moons of Yummy, they have a Banishment with Yummy, they have over 5 layered Disruption, and that's really strong. It's our turn on the draw phase. I Super Poly them. And the targets, if you're wondering, the best ones has to be Herald, because these two are the Omni Negates, of course, which we don't want them to use. So hitting them, we get a Garuda, because we want to draw more, but we already have 1-card combo. Very important thing to do here. The first thing you have to do, you normal summon Barrier Statue, and that's it. GG, well played. Yummy cannot go into anything now because they can't special summon because they're not Earth, they're lights. So we go into Conduction Warrior. Opponent just quits. They saw the writing on the wall. That was a really good one. All thanks to Super Poly. Okay, so for this duel, we're actually playing a mirror match here. Yeah, this mirror match is fun because it shows the weakness of the deck, which is gonna be Droll and Lock. Once they added, they check our hand, they get our bonding, and that sucks because we have to go with Analyzer or Adamantipator go through. But again, since we have these 2 cards in our hand, that's excavating 10 cards in our hand. You have to hit. It's almost not likely that can't happen. That's why. And we get Dualitarian. Oh my goodness. I totally forgot about that. So now, what we do, we're going to try to get some baits here. We're going to have to just Analyzer to try to just special summon because it's free. You don't want your Dualitarian to get negated at this point. Dualitarian. We hit with Beta. We're rolling here. Then Beta gets us Sigma. They Droll and Lock. Damn, Revenge right there. We Researcher. And we still hit. We go with Sigma Plus. If you're wondering why, it's because Sigma Plus and Minus, it's for Delusion. We can still dump it. Going to Nappies, knowing that like their only way to get through this is monster effects. I want to get rid of the board. Attack. Link the 2 in the IP. Affect the Sigma to get Beta. Here we only have IP to SP, Naturia base here, plus Super Poly. So in total that's about 4 disruptions here. Plus there's a hidden disruption that you will see too with Beta, because Beta contribute itself. They also Adamantipator. So we're trying to send things to the graveyard here for follow-up. So we get Epsilon. Epsilon's effect to dump Omega, and then we IP here to try to get rid of Adamantipator because we don't want them to excavate. Got the Little Knight. Vanishing. They have Sigma Minus here. And they go into Plasma Magnum. So we Super Poly before they can use its effect. Mud Dragon. And that was it. I truly think Super Poly is a very important card in this deck. It's good going first or second. That's why sometimes it's good to have Plasma Magnum on the field, with that fact that you can sometimes Super Poly your opponent. It's arguable that Plasma should be on the field sometimes, depending on the situation, your matchup, in general. Sometimes it should be in the graveyard. Second to last duel, we're fighting against Tearlaments, and going first, this is a very niche and very situational hand. That's why I'm sharing it like last. It's kind of a dead hand. Really, Researcher would be probably our only way to go into something if we can hit with it. So we're gonna practically freestyle, and thankfully we have Cart. Without Cart, Barrier Statue will not be online. And having Block Dragon in our hands, sometimes it's kind of a brick because you need a lot of earth monsters in the hand or graveyard to have this work. But again, it's better going first with this type of hand. But it's good because we have Guardian for insulation. We normal summon Guardian, and then the effect of Researcher to extend and hope to excavate something. We excavated Sigma minus and Alpha Omega, and then Sigma minus dumps Delusion. We link into Gallic Granin, hoping it hits, and indeed it does. We have to get Conduction Warrior. So this is freestyling. We don't usually do this type of one card combo, but we have to here because of our hand. Usually, again, you want to just one card combo with like Magnum Warrior stuff, but this time we didn't. But it works out. Showing how you can weave your plays. Epsilon sending Omega, then linking the two into Elf. Elf to re-special. Link into IP. Banishing for Baron. We couldn't go into Naturia Beast because we couldn't get into Beta. That's okay. We block Dragon to get Guardian and Sigma minus. Now you're wondering why we get Sigma minus is because we could use its fuse effect. So using the two, go into Plasma Magnum. Going into Magnet Bonding. Synchroing into Stone Trooper. Finally getting rid of Plasma Magnum. That's some situations where you don't need to do that because in the end of the day, we have Barrier Statue. This is ideally how you want to play the deck, and this is full combo here. Ideally, this is how it should look with Naturia Beast, but unfortunately it's not here. But this is an absolute menace of a hand. What we have here, they can't even super poly us if they tried here because Barrier Statue. So what we have is one Omni Negate, pop a card / steal a card, pop a card with Stone Trooper, Book of Moon something with Omega, Floodgate here, and then within that combo we could negate a attack and force an attack to only Earth. But likely it's not gonna happen because we don't have Plasma in the field. 7 disruptions. Our opponent just quits. Most games are gonna end like this because this is how the deck plays. It was really hard to get one card combos because of examples like this. They just could not play. Final duel. We are playing against Blue Eyes, and I believe we go one card combo here. So this is really great to show an example. One card combo with Guardian in our hand. Guardian is a great example to one card combo because you can negate here. Normal summon, and then we do Otarion to try to get a bait, and we indeed do get a bait. Purge. It doesn't matter because we still have Magnum, but it was a good one to negate. Sending Sigma Plus and Epsilon. Epsilon gets special summoned. Sending Omega, and then linking XYZing, sorry, the two for Gallic Granite. Choke point, the Imperm. So we super poly to dodge target. Super poly is good going first and second in this deck. Because instead we go Garura. Gallic Granite getting us Block Dragon. Banishing the 3. Going into IP. You don't need Cross Sheep in these examples, and then Block Dragon to chain block to draw. Getting Adamantipated Researcher, Beta, and another Beta. We can't normal summon, keep that in mind. So we use to hit something really strong, Researcher, we get Barrier Statue. Now with that, we just go into Stone Trooper. Stone Trooper getting buffed and then getting Delusion, ending our turn. Having Guardian on the hand. So with this, we have a really strong disruptions. We have Block Dragon to protect our Earth from getting destroyed only by battle. We have a Book of Moon, Monster Negate and Destroy with Guardian, a Floodgate, and a Pop with Stone Trooper. Plus Magnet Bonding to bounce a card in the hand. 6 disruptions our opponent has to play through. They play Primite. I want to negate that so they cannot get their spell. And they use their normal summon so they can't go into anything else. They end turn. Usually a lot of games are gonna be like that. And that was it, guys. We are in season 53 now. I will be using this deck to go to Masters. It was really fun playing this deck, learning this deck. Shout out again to DorminMax for helping me. Yeah, again, one card combos does not do justice to show how this deck works. This deck is very combo heavy. You're gonna get interrupted and you have to weave your plays. So I have to play differently, and unfortunately I couldn't get that many one card combos because I just got getting hand trapped, and that's normal within Yu-Gi-Oh! The deck is so strong too that if they don't have any disruptions and I one card combo them, no one in their right mind is gonna stay and watch me cook them and then get a barrier statue, a Naturia Beast in front of their faces and then just lose. Or quit right after. It's crazy. This deck is so strong going first. It has its struggles going second. It has its weaknesses for sure. Droll Lock is its weakness. In addition, Nibiru can definitely stop this deck, so you have to use Guardian very mindfully, because sometimes they could bait your Guardian and throw a Maxi down on you. So the point is, play smart. I apologize if I messed up any of the combos, because sometimes Plasma Magnum should not be on the field. As you've seen, most of the time it was on the field. You could definitely get yourself outed by getting super polyed by yourself. So be mindful of keeping this on the field. Sometimes you could throw it to the graveyard as fodder. You could always bring it back with Flux if you truly do need it. But typically Flux is so strong because this could be there's a world where this is in your graveyard. There's a world where you negated with this and you could bring it back and then negate again. This deck is very situational and it takes a good pilot to be good at it. By no means am I a pro at it. I really thank the Magnet Warrior channel and Master Duel Meddler for teaching me this deck. This deck is super strong, but it takes a good pilot to learn it. Take it with ease. It's fun. It's really fun going first. Yeah, floodgating. If you can't beat him, join him. Kewl Tunes is going crazy like that. Yummy was going crazy like that. Let's go Magnet Warriors. There's so many ways to play this deck too. The pure way. You have the Fiendsmith way. You probably are gonna have a control way too. Sooner or later, there has to be more than one way to play this deck. A pile deck too, for all I know. But the point is, this is the deck. This is the Magnet Warrior deck. I hope you liked it. If you enjoyed, I hope you can like, sub. Again, we're trying to make 1,000 subs. I do want to give a giveaway. I'm excited to soon make that 1,000 my goal. Thank you guys for letting me do this and play this game. It's really fun. I appreciate everyone who's supported me within this channel. Thank you so much. Runix YGO out.